Hi class, today we're looking at solving equations with variables on both sides, as well as identity equations and no solution equations. And if you want to look up the word identity in your glossary of your book, you can. I will give you a definition a little later on, so just be patient with that. Let's look at the first example. You buy a skateboard for $60 from a friend, and then rent safety equipment for $1.50 an hour. Or you can rent all items that you need for $5.50. How many hours must you use the skateboard to justify buying your friend's skateboard? All right, so we're going to look at compare the costs of renting versus the costs of buying. And so, if you imagine the cost for renting is just the $5.50 per hour, and we're going to let H be the number of hours that we ride our skateboard. Now, if we buy the skateboard, then we're going to have the cost of our friend's skateboard, which is the $60, plus the $1.50 per hour. And so we set up our equation, buy equals rent. And in this case, I'm going to have the 60 plus the $1.50 per hour equals the $5.50 per hour. So our first step here, since we have variables on both sides, is to combine to get the variables on one side. So we're going to take away the 150H from the left side. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we take the 150 away, H away from the other side, and we're left with 60 equals 4H. So then we solve this one-step equation by dividing both sides by 1. Okay? We divide both sides by 1. And we're left with, not 41 here, we divide both sides by 1, and we're left with 15 hours. So what does that tell us? You have to interpret your answer, and does that make sense? What this hours, go back to our original problem here. If we were to rent all of our materials for skateboarding for 15 hours, or if we were to buy the skateboard and rent just the safety equipment for 15 hours, the cost is going to be the same. So how could you justify paying the $60 to your parents? You could possibly tell them that you know that you're going to use a skateboard for more than 15 hours. After that, this side is going to definitely be cheaper than this side. All right, so there's a justification for you and an interpretation. It's always good to ask yourself, what does my answer mean, and does it make sense? Moving on to example 2. Excuse me. We have a quick check question. Go ahead and pause, work on the quick check for yourself, and when you're finished, go ahead and restart. Here's the quick check. We're considering ordering shampoo from 2 different companies. One company charges $4 per bottle with a $10 handling fee. The other only charges $3 per bottle, but you got to spend $25 for the shipping and handling fee. So to get the better price, how many bottles must you buy? So again, we're going to compare company A to company B here. We write our equation for B being the number of bottles, plus 10, that's our company A price, and here's our company B price. We then combine like terms, so I'm going to subtract 3B from both sides, okay, and then I also subtract 10 from both sides. That leaves me with 1B equals 15. Oops, I got some shifting going on here. So if I buy 15 bottles, it costs the same for either company. So less, if you're only going to use less bottles than 15, you don't want to pay the big shipping fee just to get a little bit cheaper price. All right, let's look at example 2. So we have an equation here with no solution, or they kind of give it away. So you start to combine like terms, and notice we have a z here and a minus 7z. That's going to give me a minus 6z. And on the left side here, I also have a minus 6z. So when I subtract, okay, so I have my minus 6z on both sides. If I start to add 6z to both sides, what's going to end up happening is I get 8 on this side equals 10. Does 8 equal 10? Not in my world, it doesn't. So that is a no solution there, in that there is no value of z you can plug in to make this equation true. Okay, so that's a no solution there. If we look at the next example, you notice here, the variables cancel out, and you end up with a non-true statement. So there is no number that makes the statement true, so it's a no solution. If you look at this next example here, we have the distributive property, so you're going to distribute the negative 2 to the 2y and then the minus 2. When you distribute, you end up having 4 minus 4y on the left equals negative 4y plus 4 on the right. So then our next step would be to combine like terms, so we can add 4y to both sides. And what ends up happening is we're left with 4 equals 4. Now, since we have a true statement here, okay, that this is an identity solution, okay, that means all solutions. You can put any number you want in for y, and you're going to get a true statement, okay? That's the identity. All numbers work, okay, and you get this 4 equals 4. That's how you know it's an identity. I use the term infinity here because there's infinite solutions to this problem. Go ahead and try the quick check, and when you're done with that, go ahead and check your answers. If we look at these, this is going to be a no solution for 2A. 2B is going to be an identity, okay, because the variables cancel out in both of these, but I'm left with a non-true statement here, a false statement, and then I'm left with a true statement over here, okay? In our last two examples, our quick check questions, we have just two equations we're going to try and solve. So I'm going to subtract 1d from both sides, and I'm left with negative 7d equals 4, divide both sides by negative 7, so I'm left with d equals negative 4/7. And over here, I get k is 10. Again, anytime you're solving equations with two variables, you want to combine your variables into one side, okay, using obviously the opposite operations or inverse operations. You want to watch your signs carefully, especially when we're doing things like subtracting a 1d, okay? You want to watch your signs, and then also take the time to ask yourself, does this make sense? You could also plug this back in to your equation, and if I did that to do a check, 7 times 10 is 70 minus 4 is 66. Over here, 5 times 10 is 50, plus 16 is also 66. Great job. Please make sure if you have any questions, you write them down and ask in class. Thanks.